Hi, my name is Scott Evans with Cross Country Mortgage. Thank you so much for viewing this VA webinar. I am so excited to share all this amazing information with all of you today. Here's a little bit about myself. My team and I have over 30 years of mortgage experience. I was ranked one of the top loan officers in the United States, but more importantly, I was ranked the #1 VA loan officer in 2019 and 18. We have closed over 17,000 transactions. And I say all this, it's not to impress you, it's to impress upon you. When you do something 17,000 times, you get really, really good at it. Wouldn't you agree? So let's dive right in. Whether you're actively looking to purchase or just considering your options, well, this is a great place to start. But very important, those watching this webinar, make sure to finish the entire webinar, because at the very end, I have some special financing incentives to all of you that finish it. So let's have a little fun before we dive into the content. I have a quick little quiz for all of you. What are 5 ways to be wealthy in the United States? First way, inherit it. Marry into it. How many of you have a rich uncle? Maybe you found a sugar mama, sugar daddy? I mean, I know we're all looking for one, but it's highly unlikely. Number 2, play the stock market. Those that know day traders or are day traders will tell you that it's very sophisticated, it's risky, and it is very time consuming. Number 3, be a business owner. Those that are watching that are business owners would agree it's a lot harder than they thought it was going to be. In fact, did you know that 90% of all small businesses fail within the first 5 years? And number 4, be an entertainer, an athlete, or win the lotto. And you would agree all those are extremely rare. And number 5, my personal favorite, owning real estate. It's the common person's way of creating wealth. In fact, did you know that 70% of the millionaires are created through owning real estate? It's easy, it's a requirement to live, and you can obtain with little to no investment. So why are we doing these webinars? I recently read a stat that was very disturbing. It said that 82% of Americans have no ability to retire. That 1 out of 3 Americans has no money saved up for retirement. In fact, it said that 18% of Americans have over $200,000 saved for retirement, and they feel that that is a viable retirement plan. So I have to ask you, what did you make last year? And how long is $200,000 gonna last you? So when people ask me what I do for a living, I don't tell them I'm a loan officer. I tell them I teach people how to win the real life game of Monopoly. And when thinking of Monopoly, you cannot win by going around collecting $200. You win by buying properties and having other people pay your rent. So when you think of a renter, they're just going around life, collecting their paycheck and paying rent. Whereas once you become a landlord and start owning more and more properties and having people pay you rent, you create a passive income. And that's my goal, is to teach you how to win the real life game of Monopoly. So with real estate, you don't wait and buy, you buy and then you wait. So what is the VA home loan? The VA home loan was created in 1944 by the government. You veteran and active duty service members fought for our country, so the government felt you deserved to own a piece of it. So they created a loan where you can be able to buy a home with no money down. But one of the biggest misconceptions that people have is they think they actually are going to VA to get the loan. Now, imagine going to VA to get your home loan done. How long would that take? You and I know it would take forever. So VA does not do your loan. Banks and mortgage companies do your loan. The VA just insures the loan. They insure up to 25% of whatever loan that we do. Another misconception about the VA home loan is many people think that you have to have perfect credit. Did you know that VA actually doesn't have a credit score requirement at all? Yes, there is no credit score requirement for a VA home loan. Now, banks and credit unions have credit score requirements. Our company, Cross Country Mortgage, we follow VA's guidelines and we do not have a credit score requirement. If you're Army, Coast Guard, Marine, Navy, Air Force, there are 2 different periods of times called wartime period and peacetime period. Currently, we are in a wartime period since August 1990 to present. So during a wartime period, if you served 90 days of active duty, you're eligible for a VA home loan. For any of those that have served during a peacetime era, it's 181 days of active duty to be eligible for a home loan. If you're in the reserves or National Guard, you need to have served 6 years of service and one of the following to be eligible for the VA home loan. So how do we determine your eligibility? We pull something called your VA Certificate of Eligibility. Now you're more than welcome to go to benefits.gov and search for hours and pull the certificate yourself, or you can contact me and I have VA credentials and I will be able to pull it for you for free. So who can get a VA loan? Pretty much if there's a veteran on the loan, you can get a VA home loan. Here's how it works. Pretty much, if there's a veteran on the loan, you can get a VA home loan. The easiest is really if they're just a veteran or an active duty service member getting a VA loan by themselves. That's self-explanatory. If you have a veteran and a spouse, you can get a VA home loan. Let's say a veteran and their spouse is also a veteran. You can use one person's eligibility to obtain VA home loan. Then later on in life, you can use the spouse's VA eligibility to purchase a home. Let's say two friends that are buddies that want to buy a home. We call it dual entitlement. They both can get a VA home loan together. And then the last is a veteran and someone that does not have VA eligibility that is not a spouse. You can do that. However, you have to put 12.5% down. So a lot of times people choose a different loan program. The reason why I have personally done that in the past is because of the credit score requirements, where some of them, the people on the loans just didn't have, very high credit scores, so we went that route. Also, there's no mortgage insurance on the VA home loan. So now let's talk about the benefits with the VA home loan. The first, which is huge, in 2020, in the United States for 100% financing, they have removed it. So now there is no limit on the size of the VA loan that you can obtain with 100% financing and putting no money down. Benefit number two is every other loan program, if you're not putting 20% down, there is mortgage insurance or private mortgage insurance, which is an additional cost. That's kind of like how VA insures a loan for VA. Well, this PMI insures the loan for all the other programs. The third benefit is VA has the most aggressive 30-year fix, and it's lower than any other loan program out there. And number four, the VA loan is the easiest loan to qualify for. As I mentioned previously, there is no credit score requirement, but it also allows higher income to debt ratio. So it's easier to qualify than any other program out there. So more benefits with the VA home loan is once you have a VA home loan, there are two types of refinances. One is a special refinance called the VA Interest Rate Reduction Loan, or an IRRRL. Once you have the VA loan and after 211 days have passed since your first payment, and if you can lower your interest rate by 0.5 point or more, and you have not been delinquent on your loan, and it's a net tangible benefit, VA allows us to redo your loan with no appraisal, no income documentation, no assets. We can skip 2 payments. All you do is you sign the loan application and we redo your loan. So any of you that currently have a VA loan that are watching this webinar, reach out to me and we could talk more about it and how I can save you money. The second type of refinance that you can do with VA is a cash out refinance. Why it's a benefit is because VA allows you to go up to almost 100% of the value of your home. Where every other loan program, you can only go up to 80% of the value of the home, meaning they still require 20% equity. So if you bought a home for $300,000 and years later that home is now worth $500,000, with the VA loan, you can redo and do a new loan at $500,000 and pulled $200,000 out, which you can then use to go buy another property and win the real life game of Monopoly. Go invest in stocks. You'll help a sick family member. It's your money, you can do whatever you want with it. I like to take a moment and address some VA myths. The first myth is you can only use the VA one time. That is false. The VA loan, it's a lifetime benefit. You can use it as many times as you want. In fact, did you know that you can have 2 VA loans at one time? There are some additional guidelines. You can't have unlimited financing on both loans. So there are some calculations whenever you have a VA loan outstanding for what you're able to obtain on the second loan. Another myth is if you don't use it, you lose it. That's false. And the fourth myth is you can never rent out your home. You know, you have the same rights as anyone else. Life changes, right? If you get stationed or you have to move, or your neighbor is crazy and you need to move out of that property, you can rent out the home. It's your home. You can do whatever you want with it. So let's talk about the funding fee. The funding fee is a fee that goes directly to VA to keep this program alive for all of you, right? This is how this program is so great. Now, as I mentioned, the first time using your VA loan, the VA funding fee is 2.3%. I'm going to give you an example shortly of how that works. Any subsequent use, if you're not putting any money down, it's 3.6% of the loan amount. So any VA loan for the rest of your life, after the first time use, it's 3.6%. You can put money down and the VA funding fee does decrease, but it does not make sense when you look at the numbers of putting money down with the VA loan. Now, if you have any percentage disability rating, you do not have a VA funding fee at all. So if you have not started that process, I encourage you to start that process, because this could save you thousands of dollars on the life of your loan. And another thing is, if you have 100% disability rating, in some places in the United States, you can actually get your property taxes reduced, in some cases waived. So now let's go into how the VA funding fee calculation works. We're gonna use this example of buying a $400,000 home. You're putting no money down, you're getting a $400,000 loan. The VA funding fee is 2.3%. So it takes the $400,000 loan times 2.3%, which is $9,200. And that gets added onto the loan, it gets financed. So the loan that you would take out is $409,200. Rent versus owning. One of the great things with a 30-year fixed mortgage is your mortgage payment stays the same for all 30 years. Whereas rent, as many of you know, increases over time. So before I go into the incentives that I talked about in the beginning, I want to briefly describe and talk about some of the benefits with working myself and my team. So first of all, our company can lend in all 50 states. So wherever you're looking to buy, we can be able to help you. We can also do any type of loan, not just a VA loan, any type of loan. We also close fast, right? Our average time frames on a VA loan is anywhere from 14 to 17 days. Why is that important? Because a fast close gives you a competitive advantage with getting your offer accepted. And more importantly, we have some of the best communication out there in the mortgage industry. This is the biggest home purchase you're ever gonna make, and you need to have someone holding your hand and making it a very enjoyable experience. And that's what we do. So why should you choose option B? This is what you're gonna get, the incentives. You can use these incentives anytime you want. They do not expire. So let's go into them. The first incentive, I will reimburse you for your appraisal, which is valued up to $600. That's real money. Second incentive that you're gonna get, will guarantee to get you a combined minimum of $3,000 in total closing costs towards your home purchase. The third incentive is the agents that we work with, on this webinar will get you a free 1-year home warranty valued at $525. Fourth incentive will help buy you out of a lease so you can own a home. This is valued over $4,125. Let me repeat that, $4,125. This is free money. All you have to do, set an appointment, get educated, fill out a simple online application, and then you can start your path to generational wealth. Remember, you only get these incentives if you take action within the next 24 hours. Thank you for watching this webinar. I look forward to helping you obtain the American dream and winning the real life game of Monopoly.